A new novel by a New York Times best-selling author is bringing light to a forgotten story of American history. The book, Keeper of Lost Children, is based on the fascinating and heroic story of a woman who found homes for abandoned mixed-race children after World War II. Author Sadeqa Johnson joins us now. Welcome. Congratulations. Was it like finding a treasure for you when you found this story?
You know, historical fiction is always like finding a treasure. I say that stories choose me, that I really don't have any say on it. I was tucked away at a writing retreat in the Blue Ridge Mountains in Virginia. I was working on my previous novel, The House of Eve.
What a story, too.
Thank you. And I remember I was like, let me just do a quick little research. So I popped into my Google search, orphans, unwanted children, and up popped the story of a woman named Mabel Grammer. And I was like, who is she? And I discovered that she was a woman who was unable to have children herself. She went over to Germany. She was a journalist, and she went over to Germany with her husband, who was the chief warrant officer in the army. And while she was there, she was lonely. She didn't speak the language, but she was a devout Christian. And so these Catholic nuns took her to an orphanage where she discovered a gaggle of mixed-race children. And in that moment, she decided that something needed to be done. These children deserve loving homes, and she was going to be the one to do it.
How incredible for you to be able to find that story. I understand this was the hardest book that you've written.
Yes.
This is number 6 for you.
Number 6.
What made it so difficult?
I mean, it was just so ambitious on my part, because I thought, when I was writing The House of Eve, I wrote in 2 different point of views. And I thought, well, what's the difference between 2 POVs
and another one,
and 3 POVs?
Yeah.
And it was a big difference.
3 timelines, too.
And 3 timelines. And so I often found myself sort of trying to figure out how to tell this story. So what I did is I would write each character one time for a week or 2. I would stick with that one character. Then I would put them aside, and I did the same thing. And then I would eventually print all of those pages and then sit them on my office floor and then move them around like a jigsaw puzzle.
So, I am so fascinated by your research and the discovery of the story. And I wonder how that all went. How extensive was the research? I mean, did you find the information surprising? Did you find it shocking? Tell me what your thought process, too, was throughout this.
When I was researching the story, the thing that I found the most surprising was that it's very easy for us to think that these relationships between the African-American soldiers who went over to Germany with these German women who had these children, that they didn't want their children. And for the African-American soldiers, oftentimes, because of Jim Crow laws, because of the Double V campaign, because of, the segregation in the army, when they went to apply with their captains to marry, to get a marriage certificate, they were denied. And so they were often sent off somewhere else, and the German women were left with the children. Now, these women loved their children, but because they were illegitimate, they were mixed race, the German government didn't always support them. And so they couldn't afford to keep their children. So it wasn't a matter of these parents didn't want their children. It was sort of the circumstance of the time period where they weren't allowed to keep their children.
I know you're already on your book tour, and we have some images of your book launch in Virginia. Yes. It looked amazing. I mean, how many people are there?
I mean, it was nearly 500 people there, which was shocking and amazing.
That had to be a really nice feeling to be able to see such support for you and for your books.
It was. I've only been living in Richmond for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And so it's amazing how people have really championed my books and have celebrated my stories.
I know you spent so many years in New Jersey and studied at Marymount, Manhattan. Was this something when you were in college that you thought you would want to do as a career, a novelist?
Well, I actually really wanted to be an actress. And, I just wanted to live. I grew up in Philadelphia, and I knew from an early age I needed to live in New York City to make it happen. And when I went to college, I was like, well, I'm not going to actually graduate because I'll be discovered, 2-3 weeks into my time in New York City, and then I'll be on Broadway. But I graduated.
And you did. You got into the publishing industry, such a creative industry. And tell me, you worked so closely with authors at the time, not writing. And then what spurred you to start the process of writing your own book?
I think I was always a writer. I was always a big reader. When I was in theater, I was writing plays and poetry. And when I went to go, my first job was at Scholastic Books. And just being surrounded by those books, I kept thinking to myself, you know, I think I can do this. So I started with a children's book, and it was like, okay, maybe not. And then I knew that my passion was novel writing, and so I started to write. And it was being in publishing that gave me the energy that I could do it.
So many people know you in historical fiction and your deep research in that, but you didn't start with that. Tell me a little bit about how you made the transition from the contemporary fiction to the historical fiction.
It was really by accident. Again, I really felt like this story chose me. We had moved to Richmond, Virginia, sort of on a whim. It was this feeling I had that we were supposed to be somewhere else. And when we got there, I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to be doing. 9 months later, I was on the Richmond slave trail, and I discovered the story of Mary Lumpkin, and I could feel everything in my body saying, this is the story you're supposed to write next. And it was my first historical novel, and so it was like the story found me. All I really had to do was say yes to it.
Jeez, it gives me chills just hearing you say that. I mean, tell me what that feeling was like when you realized this is where I need to be.
It was scary. It's very scary to say yes, but it was also something inside of me that said, you know, if you don't do it, you're going to miss out. Like, don't let your fear keep you from something great.
That's such a deeply emotional story. How did you get through the research and the writing for that?
Yellow Wife was difficult as well. All my stories are. Somehow, you know, I don't mean for them to have like these dark moments, but our history is dark. And so in order for me to do what needs to be done for these stories, which is entertain, but also educate my readers, I have to go a little bit deep.
Yeah. Well, Sadeqa Johnson, we thank you so much for taking some time with us. It's such a pleasure to be able to meet you in person.
Oh, thank you.
I've read so many of your books, so I'm really excited to see this one too. So you can read a free excerpt of Keeper of Lost Children, and you can get the book too at clubcalvi.com.